Johnny Talks Sports, another episode of Johnny Talks Football. Today I'm going to go over my 2016 NFL mock draft, the full first round. So I guess you can call it 1.0. Now if you saw my last one, I only did the top 10, because I was kind of just to get a feel for all the prospects. At number 1 I have Laramie Tunsil going to the Titans, who have the first pick. I just think that offense may win you games, and defense wins you championships. But your offensive line is the one that needs you to get a chance to win games and then championships. I think Laramie Tunsil is a good start for the Titans moving forward. At number 2, this is kind of a what-if situation for me. If the Browns cut or release Johnny Manziel or trade him, which is what's most likely going to happen according to some people, then I have the Browns going with Jared Goff, the quarterback out of California. Number 3, I have the Chargers going with Joey Bosa out of Ohio State. Many people thought he could be the number 1 overall pick. And maybe in some people's mock drafts he is. But I just think Joey Bosa's best fit right now is with the Chargers. Number 4, I have Dallas going with Laquan Treadwell, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss. I just feel like the Cowboys need another wide receiver with first-round talent to complement Dez Bryant. And I think Laquan Treadwell is the best wide receiver in this year's draft class. At number 5, I have Jacksonville going with Vernon Hargreaves, the cornerback out of Florida. I'll get to it in a minute, but I have Jalen Ramsey coming up in a couple picks. But I'll explain why I have Hargreaves and not Ramsey at 5th. I just think Hargreaves has the NFL talent that a team needs. I think he can be the face of the franchise on the defensive side of things, because Blake Bortles is probably going to be the face of the franchise on offense. I just think Jacksonville needs some help in the secondary. I think Vernon Hargreaves is the guy to do it. At number 6, I have the Ravens going with A'Shawn Robinson, the defensive tackle or defensive end out of Alabama. I just think the Ravens need to start all over on defense from scratch. And I think A'Shawn Robinson is going to be the guy that can get things going moving forward. Number 7, I have San Francisco going with Paxton Lynch. So this is kind of a what-if for me as well, because there's a report saying that Chip Kelly is interviewing for the 49ers position. And I think if Chip Kelly gets hired by the 49ers, I think Colin Kaepernick may actually still be on the 49ers roster, and he might be the one that leads a no-huddle offense. Either one or two things can go with this pick. Either Chip Kelly gets hired and they trade down, possibly, with a team coming up between picks 8 and 15, or they don't hire, or the 49ers don't hire Chip Kelly and they go with Paxton Lynch and start all over from scratch. But I think if the 49ers had to decide today, I think they'd go with Paxton Lynch. At number 8, I have Miami going with Myles Jack, the defensive back out of UCLA. And we can also play running back. Let's not forget that. At number 9, I have Tampa Bay going with Emmanuel Ogbah, the defensive end out of Oklahoma State. Now this could be a what-if pick as well, because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fired Lovie Smith yesterday. And whoever comes in, whether they are more successful on offense or defense, will kind of probably depend on this pick. But I think they should go with Ogbah because, in my opinion, he's probably the most underrated player in this draft. Number 10, I have the Giants going with Andrew Billings, the defensive tackle out of Baylor. Number 11, I have the Chicago Bears going with Ronnie Stanley, the offensive tackle of Notre Dame. At number 12, I have the New Orleans Saints going with Jalen Ramsey, the cornerback out of Florida State. Now, when it came down between Hargreaves and Ramsey, I just think Hargreaves is going to have a little bit of a better combine than Jalen Ramsey will. So that's why I have Hargreaves at 5 and Ramsey at 12. Number 13, I have the Eagles with Taylor Decker, the offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Now, the Eagles may want a quarterback because maybe they want to start all over and have a whole other quarterback for next season. But I don't think you're going to find a franchise quarterback in the first round. So I don't see Jared Goff or Paxton Lynch being a franchise quarterback. I think if you want a quarterback that can help your franchise out for about the next 10 plus years, I think you need to look probably at around maybe rounds 4, 5, and 6. Number 14, I have the Raiders going with Robert Nkemdiche out of Ole Miss. Now, many people thought he was probably going to be a top 5 pick, maybe at some point the number 1 pick. But with his off-the-field issues, his draft stock is going down. I think he has talent, but I don't think many teams in the top 10 are going to want to take the risk of his off-field issues. That's why I have him going at number 14 to Oakland. He can really help out Khalil Mack in that Raiders defense. I can see him being a part of the Raiders next season, if he's still available at pick 14. Number 15 of the Rams going with Connor Cook, the quarterback out of Michigan State. Now, I know I just said that I don't think we're going to see, you don't have a franchise quarterback in the first round, second round. I think I just said you want to have him at rounds 4, 5, or 6. That's because I just don't think the quarterbacks in this year's draft, I don't see him winning Super Bowls with their teams are going to get drafted to. I just have a feeling they're going to get traded to a team and then maybe successful there. But they're not going to start off great. In fact, nobody really does, though. But what I mean by that, I just think it's going to take them a bunch of time to maybe be a good quarterback. Kind of like with Brandon Weeden right now. He started off with Cleveland, he got traded to the Cowboys, and now he's in the playoffs with the Texans. Number 16 of the Detroit Lions going with Jack Conklin, the offensive tackle in Michigan State. I just think the Detroit Lions need some offensive line to protect Matthew Stafford. Number 11, I have my Atlanta Falcons going with DeForest Buckner, the defensive tackle out of Oregon. Now, I know many of you are probably thinking that Buckner is probably a top 10 pick, but I don't think Buckner is going to have that good of a combine to some teams, but I think the Falcons would make a big mistake if they passed up on Buckner if he was still available at number 17. Number 18, I have the Indianapolis Colts going with Tre'Davious White, the cornerback out of LSU. I think the Colts have some secondary problems, and I think Tre'Davious White would be a good fit for the Colts next season. Number 19 of the Buffalo Bills going with Jonathan Allen, the defensive end / defensive tackle out of Alabama. Now, Alabama is the college team that's kind of like a pro team. Because there's so much NFL talent on Alabama's team every year. And I think the experience Jonathan Allen has by playing with a team that's kind of like an NFL defense, I think it's actually going to help the Bills' selection. And I think they're going to go with him because he's probably the best defensive player available at this point. Number 20, I have the Jets going with Reggie Ragland out of Alabama, but he's the inside linebacker. Pretty much the same reason as I had the Bills going with Allen. Because Todd Bowles is a defensive guy, and I see him going with Reggie Ragland. I think he's going to be a huge weapon for the Jets. Number 21, I have the Washington Redskins going with Leonard Floyd out of Georgia. Now, most people think that Jalen Smith would be a fit for this team, but I think the fact that Jalen Smith may not be able to play until maybe the middle of the season, I think that's going to decrease Smith's draft stock a little bit. Some people had him in the top 5, maybe second or third, just behind Joey Bosa. But I think that injury is going to decrease his draft stock, but I think he's still going to go for a good team. And I'll get to that in a second. At number 22, I have the Houston Texans going with Ezekiel Elliott, the running back out of Ohio State. The Texans need a running back. Arian Foster's not going to be on that team forever. And I think the Texans need to get Ezekiel Elliott while they can at number 22. Because there's not a lot of talented running backs in this year's class, in my opinion, that you can draft early. So I think Ezekiel Elliott's the best option for him. And number 23, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers going with, I don't know how to pronounce this, Sue Cravens, the safety linebacker out of USC. Now, I think the Steelers are going to need some defensive players because the players on that defense are getting old and they're not going to be on that team for much longer. So they got to rebuild on the defensive side because your offense is good with Big Ben, Brown, and Bell, Bryant, Wheaton, Heath Miller. I think they got to start I think they gotta start like, how do you? They got to rebuild on defense, and Cravens is a good start for him. Number 24, I have the Seattle Seahawks going with Jalen Smith out of Notre Dame. I still think Jalen Smith is going to go on a playoff potential team next year in Seattle. In fact, it may even surprise me if Seattle doesn't make the playoffs next year, even though they're the 6th seed in this season's playoffs on the NFC side. So I think Jalen Smith is going to maybe play a little bit, maybe when we get towards November, December of next season. So that's why I think he's a good fit for Seattle. Number 25, I have the Green Bay Packers going with Scooby Wright, the linebacker out of Arizona. In my opinion, I think he's rated too low. If I was in the top 14, I would probably take Scooby Wright while I had the chance, or maybe trade down with a team to make sure Scooby Wright was on my team. I think he's going to be a good athlete for whoever he falls for, and according to this draft, I have him going to the Packers. Things could change. I might do a couple more as we get closer to the draft, maybe like right after the combine, right before the combine. I'll at least have more soon, but things can change. Number 26, I have Kansas City going with Jarran Reed, the defensive tackle out of Alabama. I think he's somebody that's already NFL ready. He's somebody that could maybe fall to the second round when we get to the draft, but right now I have him going to Kansas City. Number 27, I have Michael Thomas, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. Now, I think he's the best receiver in this draft class, not named Laquan Treadwell. I think the Vikings can use him as a compliment to Stephon Diggs, because I think the Vikings get a couple more wide receivers, because Mike Wallace is getting pretty old, and Stephon Diggs can't catch every single pass from Teddy Bridgewater, and Kyle Rudolph can't catch all passes from Teddy Bridgewater either. So I think they need another receiver that can catch passes. I think Michael Thomas is the guy. Number 28, I have Cincinnati going with Kenny Clark, the defensive tackle out of UCLA. I think the Bengals need some more defense, and I think Kenny Clark's going to be a great addition for this team. At 29, I have Arizona going with Jonathan Bullard, the defensive end out of Florida. I think this would be a great fit for him because Bruce Arians loves his defensive players. He's a defensive guy, and I think just adding Jonathan Bullard is like giving Superman another power. Or another superpower. Kind of, however I said it. Moving on. Number 30, I have the Denver Broncos going with Hunter Henry, the tight end out of Arkansas. Now, Denver has gone through a bunch of tight ends in the past year and a half. They've had Julius Thomas, who's no longer on the teams with Jacksonville now. They've had Owen Daniels. They've had Virgil Green. They've had Vernon Davis, who they traded for earlier in the season. But Vernon Davis hasn't done a lot for the Broncos. He's only made about a couple of catches, and he's dropped so many passes that the Broncos will probably try to look for a tight end. In the early rounds of the draft, I think Hunter Henry's the best tight end for him. Then at number 31, the last pick of the first round, because the Patriots have the forfeited pick in the first round because of the Deflategate. But I am going with Kendall Fuller, the cornerback out of Virginia Tech. Carolina secondary is good. But I think they're going to draft Kendall Fuller because he can be another weapon, another lethal weapon for Carolina secondary, because you already have Josh Norman and Roman Harper. Just having Kendall Fuller is just going to make him a more superior secondary. Anyway, that was my first full round mock draft. Comment below what you think, because it's not about me anymore. It's about what you guys think now. Anyway, if you're just watching me for the first time, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Just click that nice subscribe button. It's red with the play sign symbol. Feel free to click that button for more videos. I'll have more videos soon. Have a good day, everybody. I will see you next time.